All right, and just like that, I'm back on YouTube. Work got pretty busy. I had to take a couple weeks off from the fish tanks and just from life in general, and had to focus a lot on work because my job's kind of cool in the fact that if you are a guy and your wife's having a baby, you can also take maternity leave. So my boss, his wife had a baby, so he decided to take 6 weeks off. He got paid for the 6 weeks, pretty cool. And I got to do his job and I got to do my job. So I worked a lot of overtime, a lot of late nights, pretty much getting to work at 7, getting home at 7. It was pretty exhausting. Didn't have a lot of time for the tanks. Didn't have a lot of time for life in general. But yeah, we got to get back into taking care of some of this stuff. I pretty much did the bare minimum. I did add a lot of corals to this tank though in the meantime, because I was making a freaking ton more money. I was making about double my income for those 6 weeks. So that was pretty nice, but now we're back to reality. But we got a rock flower, and we've got a sexy shrimp. We've got another rock flower back there. We've got 2 zoas, which I usually don't go for zoas. And we got some cool blasto over there. Added a little bit of a cleanup crew because the rock started to get a little funky. Up the par to about 45 par now. We were sitting at 19 for quite a while just because there were no corals in here and I wasn't trying to, blast the tank with light for no reason. I actually put a piece of the seagrass in here too, just to see how that does. But yeah, we got a couple things to do today. I'm filming this on a whim. So I just kind of remembered I haven't made a video in a while, so I picked up my phone and started doing it. We're gonna fix a Neptune product today that broke on me a couple weeks ago. So I kind of knew that this would be a problem one day, could potentially be a problem one day, that this part could break. And I knew how to fix it. I've seen it online before, just being in the hobby for so long. You see things on forums, on Instagram, Facebook. And luckily the people that came before us have figured out how to fix these problems. So all I gotta do is go on the internet and find it, and I can do it. Now, I do wish that I had the forethought to have these replacement parts on hand, just because they're so cheap. They're $7. And once this part broke, it took me about 2.5 weeks to actually get the parts. And then it took me a few more days to even want to install them because, like I said, I was just busy. So that's what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna show you how to swap this little part out. And hopefully we'll get my tank back up and running and not burn down my house. That's interesting. Do not open. No user serviceable parts inside. But we'll see about that, Neptune. All right, so we have a broken EB832 from the wonderful Neptune. Came home and I had basically half my tank was down. Nothing was working. The lights were on to this, but none of the outlets were powered on. So if you could do some digging online, which I have because I've been kind of in the hobby for a couple of years. I've seen that this part on these EB832s go bad. So it kind of like registered in my head that that's probably what this was. It's a common problem where something on this goes bad. You have no power to any of the outlets. So I went on to the good old eBay, Amazon, AliExpress, picked up another part. Looks exactly the same. So we're just gonna solder it. Okay, I forgot to film it, so we're just doing a little future Rob here. So these are the 4 pins you're gonna desolder. So I would just take your soldering gun and just heat up the 4 pins, and you're gonna wanna wiggle it out. It's gonna take a little bit of time to get it out. If you're not gonna just buy new pins, like I said, you can. But yeah, just unsolder these and then we'll go back to where we were. See if I could show you how I'm doing this. So you got these little pins here. These came out of the board side of the EB832, and I got my soldering iron. So what I'm doing is I'm pinching it with my pliers because, I'm not really like well-equipped tools-wise for this right now. But I am just heating up the solder right here until the pin comes loose. I'm trying to squeeze with one hand and squeeze the other side of the pin with this hand and pull that guy out at the same time, if that makes sense. But I am doing this one-handed. to close these pliers tight enough to get a good grip on that. Let's see. Heat up the solder. They do just sell like a pin kit on eBay, but that's just, you know, it's just more money. I was gonna try and reuse this before I went and spent a ton. Maybe just try and let gravity take over. See, you just touch it, it'll just jiggle itself out, and I just pushed it right out. So, yeah, it's pretty hot. But now I got it out a little more. We're gonna heat it up. I'm just gonna let gravity take over here. That's what we're gonna do. That's it, it's out. Now the other one should be easier because it's easier to get the whole plastic base in there, because these pliers don't really close all that tightly. So just heat it up, kind of squeeze them with the back of my hand, and then that's it. Pulled it right out. So now we have the new part. Get you back in there. And it's very hard to see because these capacitors are in the way of what I'm doing. You pretty much just take it, slide it in through its little hole, and you can see it doesn't want to go in all the way. So I just heat it up a little bit with the iron, and that was pretty warm on my finger. But you just heat it up, get the solder nice and loose, and it slips right back in. And then if you want to throw a little more on top, you can. But I think there's enough residual to where I can just kind of get a nice little base on the pin. Same thing with this one. You can see it doesn't want to go in. So I'm just going to take my soldering iron, it slips right in. And it does get pretty warm on my finger, but I'm just going to heat this up. The bottom, the solder should just kind of fall down to its little terminal. That's it. They're nice and secure on both sides. Nice and secure on both sides. So now we're going to reinstall it back into the circuit board. Does anybody remember how this went in there? Because I already forgot, so. All right. Let's see. We just need to heat up the base again. It should just slip in. So I'm gonna have to like work it in side to side a little bit. But probably would have been a little bit easier just to buy the pins. But honestly, it was like a huge pack. And when am I ever really gonna be doing this again unless people want to start sending me shit to fix, which I'm not really interested in. Unless we're like, cool. But I guess we'll just have to hold it there. This thing is hot to the touch even on the handle. And this pin does not want to go in. This pin needs to get shifted. Just gonna call it there. Okay, so now let's get back to this. Jiggle this one in. This pin is just off by just a little bit, and it's not wanting to slip into its hole. There we go. clean up the solder on that a little bit. But all right, now we've got these two front ones. You can see a little bit better of what I'm doing now. I do think this circuit board is a little bit shorter because it's a little bit tighter of a fit to get it in there, but it's going. I just want to make sure it's got enough solder on there, because if there's not enough solder on these joints, it won't be able to handle the current and the amps and all that, and it just won't survive. Trying to heat this up so this will get wicked in there. And if you're wondering what you're sitting on an Alexander Barkov bobblehead from the Florida Panthers. It's a pretty good phone stand because it's a nice sturdy box. Let's get that all cleaned up. Should get a little rag and wipe off the tip of the gun there, but I think I'm gonna call it there. Flip it over. So we pretty much got a new one in there. I just want to look at the top half. Make sure I don't need any more solder, which I do. You can see here on that pin, there's a little bit of a gap around the pin in the board, so it's not really a good connection there. You just kind of hold it there. The pin will eventually heat up to the temperature that the solder melts, and then it will just wick it in there, and it will be all nice and properly soldered in. Some of these solder guns are a little cheaper than others. I think I did it. This one's only 25 watts. It's like 20 bucks because my butane one no longer wants to work. I'll wipe all that extra solder off the board because you don't want to short circuit anything. But I do think that is done, so we're going to screw this all back together and plug it in and hope that it works and I don't set my house on fire. So it's all back inside its little back half case. There is a wire, 2-pin wire right there. You just be very careful and push that in. And then on the lid, we've got the Neptune light bar, the lights. There's a ribbon cable, 4-pin connector. Ribbon cables, you gotta be very careful because you can just tear them. You just rip them right out. So you just very gently stick it back in, that blue tape part. It's kind of like a little handle to make it easier. Sorry, I'm doing this very poorly filming job here. I'm gonna try and get something to hold my phone up next time, like a little thing to support it so I can turn it and angle it, and then you just pop the tab back on, smash it with a sledgehammer a couple times, send an angry email to Bulk Resupply or Aperture or whoever you want to do. There you go. All right, I'm put this phone down so I can actually get that on right. So we got it back installed. Really got to do some more wire organization. I've pretty much had this thing perfectly neat and tidy, and then I switched out all my equipment and just kind of tossed it in there and never perfectly wired it in there. But you can see that white plug right there, that is for my sump light. It's a 2-foot Lowe's shop light that cost me $11. Screwed it up there. I can do and see everything now. But yeah, that's it. This simple little $6-7 part took down that whole power outlet, power supply. This is just an AC to DC converter, so this converts the AC current coming out of the wall to direct current. So it's a lot cleaner, a lot smoother for you know, like sensitive equipment. I would assume that's the reason why they're doing that, but so we're done. We fixed it. Hopefully that helps somebody one day. I can send the link. I can put the link in the bio in case you ever need to order one of these. They're about $7. So yeah, that's it. Happy to have it all back.